Hello tech friends, today we're looking at another PDA and it's this Palm Tungsten E, which has got a very reflective screen. This case is a bit rubbish, so I'm just going to get rid of that. So this is a PDA that was released in October 2003, so quite a few years ago now. It's pretty small, and it's got a touch screen, full color screen there, and it's got a little stylus on the side. It's not too heavy. I think these are about £200 when they first came out. Let's have a little look around it. So along the top, we've got an SD card slot, which is full size. We've got a 3.5-inch headphone jack there and the power button. We've got the stylus, which is metal but quite light, but still feels like a quality piece of equipment. In fact, the whole thing, I think it is plastic, but it's got a sort of metally feel and shine to it. On the bottom, we've got the power jack and we've got a USB socket, and then on the left side you've got the thin part where you can slide the case on, so it sort of connects on there. And then on the screen itself, you've got, well, it's sort of a 3/4 screen for the sort of space that it's got. You've got this area down here, which is where you input things if you're using the handwriting mode, which is divided into two sections. You've got characters on the left hand side, ABC it says there, and then you've got numbers on the right hand side. And it took me quite a while to figure out that unless you're writing in the right place, then it really doesn't stand a chance at understanding what you're trying to write. So if I press this button here, home, we've also got like a context menu, which brings up all the menu items on the left hand side, whatever menu you happen to be in. You've got a star button there, which isn't for favorites. It's actually for the synchronization function, which I can show you in a bit. And then we've got a search function here, so I can actually find something if there's lots and lots of maybe documents or applications on here. And then we've got these sort of shortcut buttons on the bottom, one of which takes you to the calendar, and we'll go through all these: contacts, tasks, and then notes. And that notes bit is where the handwriting thing really comes into its own. So let's have a little look. In the top left hand corner, we've got quick tour, and it will take you through how the whole device works and teach you about the buttons and things. This bit down here is a 5-way navigation, so up, down, left, right, and you've got a button to press in, and then it's showing you what these individual buttons do. This whole writing system is called Graffiti 2, and then it's showing you how the menus work. And apparently you can listen to music on here as well with an expansion card, which is sold separately. It has got a speaker in here though, and I think I can demonstrate that in a little bit. So let's go through these applications then. So we've got calculator. That is your bog standard calculator. That does what you would expect it to do. No scientific functions on there. Oh, let's see, maybe there is. No, there isn't. We can look at the about part there. This is version 4 of the Palm powered calc. Not a bad little runner. Then we've got the the calendar, and then that's divided into these different sections. So initially you've got this sort of schedule view, and then if you press one of these buttons, that's the daily view, your monthly view, weekly view, and then monthly. And that's quite a neat monthly display, I think. So here we are on the 29th of May 2022. I bet Palm didn't envisage that someone would still be using one of these in 2022, as they've already moved on into smartphones and WebOS and stuff like that. But at this time, this is PDA heaven. So let's make an appointment on the 30th, tomorrow, 9 o'clock. I've got to buy some cat food. Okay, so how would you type that in? Well, you can type it in like this, and that actually, I mean, that was pretty close. cat food. There we go. Buy cat food. Brilliant. If I swipe to the right, it'll put a space in. If I swipe back, it'll do a it'll do a backspace. So it's pretty good. It's very good at recognizing your typing. I think there might be some sort of ways that you would have to write a T for it to know, or dotting an I and things like that. But it's pretty good. If I pick a different time, let's try eat. Okay, so it hasn't figured that out. I'm not just obsessed with cats. Okay, eat lunch, cat lunch, and but you can still use the cursor and things to delete characters just about. Can it do an E? I want to do a capital E there. Let's just do a little E. There we go. And then if I put a space in there, and then the numbers, I can just do those very easily. Some brackets as well. Can it do times and divide? Not sure about multiply as a sign, as a symbol anyway, but not bad. Anyway, so that's the sort of main way of typing things in to convert it directly into text. So that's essentially, optical character recognition. You can also use the sort of typing keyboard as you would do, and that's, well, here we, it's a bit hard to type on. Here we are. So it's a bit small. If they made that a little bit bigger, but then, there's not much of the screen left at that point. And then you've got numbers as well. And that comes up if I just press the numbers button as well. It'll bring up that, and then you can type in numbers and things like that. So not a bad little input interface. And I'll show you how that all synchronizes on the computer in a bit. So that's our calendar. We've got card information that will tell you what's on the SD card. We'll come back to that as well. Contacts. Let's create a new contact. Here we go. Surname is Smith. And it's, it's not bad for, like, if you take the stylus off to do a T, to draw the line down to do a T and a line across, then it seems to pick it up pretty well. But then that is me writing John, so it's not perfect. What's his title? He's a Mr. And email address. Hello. Is it going to be able to know the @ symbol? Yeah, look at that. Hello at Google. Must be the other way of... Oh, well, okay. I mean, yeah, a little bit of getting used to that, and I think you'd probably be able to write this stuff in without even really looking at it. You trust that it was recording that stuff that properly. Let's just make sure we've got an actual... Okay. So I sort of did a capital J there, but I mean, hey, I'm not very good with joined up writing. Maybe it's a picnic problem. Okay, right. What else we got? Contact expenses. Well, we better record some of our expenses, hadn't we? Let's see. £30. What type was that? Fax costs. £30 in fax costs this month. Someone will probably have to investigate that. In HR, not HR, whatever, finance. What are these other ones we've got down here? So there's no sort of scroll. You can't sort of scroll exactly. I have to sort of move up and down. Subway costs £70. Brilliant. So there we go. That's expenses. We've got memos, and that's just really just text. If you can type it. Which I obviously struggle to do. We've got the notepad. Now this is where you can actually really just start typing on the screen, though. It's all drawing on the screen. Look, if I do this, I've got a little house and maybe even a tree and a lane and some smoke, and then I'm done. And then that is saved as an image, I think. So it's got, this is the instruction one that it's got, just right on the screen to make a quick note. So I'm done with that one. I can go back to that. I can probably edit it, can I? Or, I can change the, there we go. I can colour things in. So that's a really quick way of writing a note on. I don't think it will convert it to text for me. Let's try and do one. My name is Edward. Right. Is there a menu item there? Will it allow me to? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. Anyway, right. That's one saved, and then it just saves it with the time. But you can probably change the name of what it's called. Yes, you can. Wow. Hello. I mean, I can type other things, but hello is most definitely the best one to type, isn't it? So Notepad preferences. That's where we've got all our options. So we've got date and time, which we can set. Digitizer. That's calibrating the stylus. Graffiti 2. Select a character below to tune it. Oh, look, you're supposed to... interesting. It's telling you how to actually write these things. And then, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I would write it. This is like a child's lesson. And then it's got some tips in there. Tap on the letter you wish to tune. Okay, that's just instructions about to control the preferences with this. Key lock, power. So one thing to say probably about the battery is that it says that it's supposed to last about 8 hours. Now, given that this is the best part of 20 years old, you know, it's not going to hold its charge too much, but it's got a battery inside it. And I think there were third-party batteries you could get for it to increase the size of the battery. But it still lasted about 2 hours when I'm just playing around with it now. And that's, you know, 2 hours of constant use. I mean, like it turns itself off after a couple of minutes anyway, and then it's not really draining any battery. You turn it on, do a bit of work, and then you pop it back in your incredibly stylish case. Brilliant. So preferences, tasks. That's not going to be too different from the other things we've seen. I'm trying to say make. Okay, M-A-K. Ah, there we go. Okay, so it sort of it is registering that you take the stylus off and put it back down again. Make. Well, that was going to be T. Let's try that again. T. All right, make tea. Can I do an exclamation mark as well? Yes. There we go. That's a task. Not yet complete, but we can have different categories of task, business, personal, or I can create some new categories. So they like, especially when compared to the Scion ones, although obviously you don't have a proper full keyboard with this, it just feels like a much slicker interface. What's this? Doom pop down here. I'll just talk about what I've tried to get loaded on here. That hasn't worked, but I have been able to download some games, essentially tiny little files, onto an SD card and dropped it straight in, and it picks them up right away. So I'll show you those in just a second. We've got your world clock. Very disappointing though that we don't have a map to view. I'd love to see that, and maybe with a third-party application you could get that map. So yeah, I've tried to download a few different games and a bunch of them haven't worked. So Doom seems to sort of create this user interface, but you need to install these WAD files, which are what sort of Doom call like levels, I think. And they don't, I haven't been able to get one to work. And these say iWAD and PWAD, so maybe I'm getting the wrong sort of versions, but it would have been great to see Doom running on this. And Duke Nukem 3D was another one I tried, but I couldn't get that to work. So with the SD card that I've got here, I've loaded a couple of things on there, and they just come up straight away if you push in the SD card, or you can select it from this menu here. So we've got 5 games. We've got Mage's Maze SL. Let's create a new game. Right. There we are. So this is like a dungeon maze kind of game. Goblin has come. I mean, it's terrifying. But I haven't got any way to fight him, so I have to press flee. Not great. I've never been able to do anything other than find enemies and run away from them, which is probably how I would behave in real life if I was trapped in a dungeon here. Look, there's another one. A kobold has come this time, but I haven't got anything in my inventory. I can't throw anything at him. I presume I'm naked, and I can't throw my clothes at him either. Can I eat? You sit down and eat. You finish eating quickly and stand up. Well, I obviously had some food. And so you move around. Oh, look, there's some slime. That is a classic one, isn't it? Gonna have to flee from the slime. And then when you have a look at the map, it is so small that it's quite difficult to read. But there we go. So that is a 3D maze game. And you might be able to hear the noise of it clicking as I press each of these buttons. In fact, any of the buttons do that. So that's like a dungeon one. Then we've got your absolute classic. Let's just get a new one of these. Well, this is a bunch of Solitaire games. Klondike Deal 1. Deal's on the right-hand side. Crazy. And then, you can play this game. This is a tricky game to describe as you're playing it, because I find like the concentration levels are just so difficult, so high. So anyone who's watching this now, I'm sure is probably screaming, why are you playing it in such a terrible way? Well, it's quite tricky to do this and talk at the same time. Well, anyway, you get the idea with this. I did try and get to the point where you could actually win a game. Maybe I'll do that now, because maybe there's a cool animation like there was on Windows. So let's whiz through this. Well, okay, look, you get the idea with that. I'm not going to finish that. It is just too boring. Okay, so that's one game. Then we've got this one here, which is Space Combat. So I thought this was going to be Elite or something similar. This is called Shattered Worlds. Let's fly this mission. Now, check this out. Look, I can move around using the stylus, and I can fire. Can I fire when I'm tapping? Yeah, I can. I just need to lock on to the fighter. So, I mean, the resolution on this thing is really very impressive. It's got some pretty obnoxious sounds, so I've turned them off for now. And I think you can fire by pressing one of these buttons. Weapon under power. Oh, gosh. I think I'm being shot at. Anyway, so that's like a combat simulator. That one is... I've managed to kill a few things in that. But not under pressure. And then this is like Elite. This is a actual, let's just do a new game. Creating Galaxy. And then, let's put some skill points in here. There's a bit of an RPG thing going on here. And then, Mercenary for Hire. You can obviously buy cargo, and I want to buy them all. Can I type this in? So even the input here works in applications that may not have been designed for it. And then you can go flying on your little trip, warp, and then you don't actually fly around. You just have a series of encounters that you can either attack or ignore. And then I've landed at my destination, and now I can sell my goods. So let's sell all that water. All of them, please. And I've got 955 cash. I probably started with 1,000, so I've probably made a loss there. And then I think you can, buy new ships and upgrade probably weapons and smuggle goods and all that sort of stuff, and get in trouble with the cops and all of that. I think that's not a bad little game. You can play that on the train for sure. And then finally, let's try out Tetris. And this one feels like let's do a new game. Here we go. Okay, stylus is out of use here. Although you can press these buttons, that is not very convenient, is it? So you can okay, this is going to be the worst game of Tetris that you have ever seen in your life. And so look at that. Not a bad little Tetris implementation there. Colourful. It's got the proper music. Not sure if this is a knockoff version or what, or whether this is official. That's me pressing X. I think that's made the game end. So yeah, there you go. You've got all these games that I've plugged in here. Now, the other thing I want to show you is because we've got a nice USB socket on the bottom here, it's not too difficult to hook this up to a computer. Not a modern one. I've tried it on Windows 11. I haven't been able to get the software to work there. But on a Windows 98 laptop, this thing works like a charm. So what you do is, if you go to, where are we? This is all your applications. You press Hot Sync, and then with the cable connected, you press this button, and it's going to synchronize. So I'm going to plug it in, and let's try that now. Okay, so I'm just going to plug in the USB cable in here, if I can get it around the right way. Third time lucky, obviously. So that's plugged in there through an adapter, but basically the same. And then I'm just going to hit the synchronize button, and look at it go. I mean, it's running in the background, but I haven't had to sort of trigger it in any way. And that's it. It's done it. It synchronized that and all the events that we created. So let's take a look. So Palm Desktop. Let's fire this up. And I'm just going to say no to that. But look, here are our contacts that we added. John Smith, spelt in a very weird way. If I double click on him, we can see his email address. And the other ones, these are the ones that are on there basically to start with. And then the calendar. So I think we put something in for, when was it? Oh, here we go. The 30th of May. Buy cat food. It's going to take an hour to do that. And then 636 eat to lunch 1234 bracket 5 well Hesri ER. So that'll mean something very important to my personal assistant. They'll know what to make of that. We got our tasks. Make tea, which is mission complete as far as this mug's concerned. Then we've got our memos. That was pretty straightforward, that one. But the notepad one, that was one which was quite interesting. So that's the image that I drew. And it's cropped it a little bit there, and obviously the font's quite big. But if you were just writing something very quick, I think that would be a very useful thing to have. And then what about expenses? Yeah, they're all on here too. And I wonder if you can sort of export it into a file that is useful in any way. Or there's an expense archive, or comma separated. Well, that would be good, because then you could view it in Excel, couldn't you? So if I just did that, export that. Yep. Export everything, please. And then I fired up Excel, which of course I immediately try and launch by clicking on start and then just typing like it works in a modern computer. But I actually need to open up Excel. Interestingly enough, Excel opens much faster on here than it does on my Windows 11 machine. And here we go. There we are. That's the item that I've imported, although it only seems to have facts on there, and maybe that's because that's the one I highlighted rather than everything. Maybe I should have highlighted it all. We've got Palm photos here, but I haven't got any photos on there. But you can see how on a screen with all that colour and depth that you probably would have being able to look at photos and things. And then you've got this quick install function, so you can just drag files where you want to install new software. But to be honest, just taking out the SD card, plugging that into a computer, and downloading the application and sticking it back in, that seemed to work perfectly well. So there we go. That is basically everything that this little Palm device can do. I think the functionality probably gets way better when you start thinking about, the different applications that you might be able to download for it, and then you really extend its use. You can even actually press the buttons yourself, but it's obviously not as accurate as using the stylus. So there we go. There were loads more that came after this one, but this really is the sort of start of the proper full colour screen version back in 2003. Thanks for watching.